Hey everybody, welcome to Grumpy Acres. We're on the other side of the homestead today. I know it's been a while, but I'm going to bring you a cooking video and show you guys how to feed 8 people under $10 and make a meal stretch with it. It'll probably feed more than 8 people, depends on how much you eat. But you can also mix it up a little bit. This is not your mama's typical chicken Alfredo. So let's mix it up, and I'll walk you through, and then we're going to take it over the freeze dryer and then bring it on back. So step by step, let's go on and see how we do this. Okay, so the first thing we did is you're going to take 1 pound of chicken for 8 people. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double this because it's going into the freeze dryer. So I'm going to do 2 pounds of chicken, and I've got this cooked up ready here. It's all golden brown and then sliced, ready to go. And then I have parsley. I've taken my parsley and I've chopped it up, got it nice and flaky. And then here's the trick. We're going to take our cheese, and instead of just using grated Parmesan, we're going to use grated mozzarella. So 1 cup of grated Parmesan for 8 people for the first recipe if you're cutting it. If you're going to double it, then 2 cups. Again, the same measurement for your mozzarella shredded cheese. Try to shred it yourself. It'll make it less grainy when it's in the sauce, and it just comes out nice and creamy. And then we like a lot of garlic. Usually you just use 2 or 3 cloves. Again, I doubled it. I'm using 10 cloves, and I put that in there because we're going to go ahead and we're going to use that garlic. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the fettuccine noodles. This is a 1 pound package. And get this. Something that I found, this was on clearance, and it was a pasta chickpea. And not bad. So it was 85 cents, I think, a box, and there were 4 left. So I just went ahead and picked them up. So I could actually go ahead and take these, and I probably will, because I have another batch going, and the chickpeas will probably be what I do next. But today we're going to use the fettuccine noodles. So then I'm going to need for our sauce, if you're just doing, again, 1 batch, then it's a 1/4 cup of butter. If you're doing 2, you're going to need 1/2 cup. And then I've taken another strip, and I've cut those into 1 tablespoon. And that we're going to use to fry up our chicken. So then I'm going to go ahead, you want 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Again, I'm doubling it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use 4. And let's see, we're going to need some olive oil and pepper, salt, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder. All right, let's go take a ride. I'm going to show you guys how to put this delicious to die for recipe up on your table. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over and we're going to fry up our chicken. And what I've done is I've taken olive oil, and I put for 1 pound, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I may put a little bit more in there. For if you're going to double it, of course, just double that. And then you're going to throw in some garlic powder, throw in some Italian seasoning, some pepper, some salt, mix all that up together. I mixed it up with a fork. And then I toss my chicken inside of that. And so we'll show you what that looks like when that's all done. And then we're going to take it over, fry it up. Here's the great thing. When you take your chicken out of that pan, do not discard any of it, because that's where we're going to do our sauce. So come on, let's go. I'm going to show you how to do it. So now that what we've done, we've got our chicken out. We're going to take 2 pounds of chicken because I'm doubling this. For 8 people, you just need 1 pound, and then 16 people, 2 pounds. Because we're going to use the fettuccine noodles, and that's 8 servings per package on that one. Just look at the back. But this recipe does call for 1 pound of chicken when you do that. So we've taken our olive oil, and I've put in the pepper and put in the salt, and let's see, I've put in the Italian seasoning that I've got here, and put all that in, forked it together, and we have our chicken is buttered up in there, and I have that sitting. Now, this is 7.5 pounds. I'll just take the extra for G, but for sake time and for the recipe, I'm just going to show you 2 pounds of chicken. So I've taken 2 tablespoons for 1 recipe, 4 tablespoons for 2 recipes, and I put our butter in the pan, and I'm getting that all melted and ready to go. And what we'll do is we're going to move our chicken to the frying pan fry it up. You want it to be golden on each side, and it's going to take about 6 minutes for each side. You want the center of the meat to be 165 degrees, and you can measure that out. So it looks like our butter's getting there. I'm going to go ahead, put these in with the chicken. I trimmed off as much of the excess fat as I could, and that's just going to help with the freeze dryer. And you see there's some fat that's not going to be perfect. Not a big deal, because we're frying the chicken. It won't be on there when we're done. Great, so we get that on in there. Let's see how many I got left in here. Get this on in there, make some room here. Okay, that to me looks like about 4 pounds there. So now I'm going to just take this and set this all to the side. All right, so we'll set our timer for 6 minutes. And this is how I keep track of it. You do you, however you want to do it. And I hit start because I can hear that frying. Get this going, flip it over, do another 6 minutes. Then I'll take internal temperature and I'll set this aside. Now, this is perfectly fine if you want to do your chicken about a day ahead. That's fine. Just throw it in the refrigerator. It's not going to be as crispy when you do that, but we're taking this to the freezer, so I really don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this done, set it aside, and then we'll show you how to get everything together. Super, super important. Let me backtrack here for a minute. When you do your chicken, I always do my chicken first. And I do my chicken first because it takes the longest to cook. You'll want to make sure in this recipe that everything is pre-prepared, because the sauce comes together very, very quickly and you're going to merge everything in. So this is just a lot of pre-prep, and once you get it together, it's a good quality meal. And man, I've had worse in fancy restaurants. I'm telling you, this is a good recipe. So we're all right. I'm going to get this done. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so super important, this recipe moves very, very fast. So you want to make sure that you have your chicken pre-cooked, ready to go. Get all of that done, because you're not going to have time to put all of that stuff together. So get that done. Make sure you already have everything out and set, ready to go. It's going to be very, very important, because if you do this different, you can separate your sauce. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to make sure that my noodles and everything are getting ready to go. We're almost up to a boil, and I'll get those in. So I'm going to make sure that those noodles are good, ready to go. I have my strainer. It's a double the strainer inside the pan. So that's all set. I'll just be able to lift, drain, and then throw it over. The reason why I do that, if you think that your sauce is too thick, you can actually take a cup of the broth from the pasta from cooking it. That starch that's in there can help you diversify your sauce and how thin you want it or how thick you want it and that kind of thing. So that's where you're going to go with that. So the first thing we're going to do is I've cut up into cubes so that it melts faster. A half a cup of butter. Throw that on in there. All right, so we got this half a cup of butter going. Get that on in here. It's starting to melt. Then, and again, if you're doing one, you only want a quarter cup of butter. I'm doing 2 batches, and so I'm putting in 4 cups of heavy whipping cream. Now again, we cooked our chicken in this pan, so the seasoning and the butter and olive oil and all of that from that is in the bottom. And as we heat this up, I'm going to scrape it like this. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull up that seasoning from the chicken, the frothiness and all of that, and it's going to be incorporated into our sauce. All right, as this is heating up, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw in our garlic cloves. Get all that in there. You want these minced, so just mince those on up. Get them in, let them sit in there. All right. Now, about 1 3/4 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Again, if you're doing one batch, I'm doubling it. And that is all of your Italian seasoning. If you want to make your own Italian seasoning, you know, go get the rosemary, sage, and all of that, and then get that in there, and then you'll have your own. Then we're going to do the same with the garlic. 1 1/4 teaspoon. Again, I'm doubling that. Okay, then 1/4 teaspoon salt. You can also do this to taste however you want. Pepper, 1/4 teaspoon. Okay. We'll get all this going. This pan was just hot from the chicken. So the cheese you're going to make sure that you put in last because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. And it will. And then once you get the cheese in there, you're going to keep stirring and scraping the bottom of the pan so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. You want it to become a sauce. So that's the important way to do that. Feel like we've got all of the seasoning off the bottom of the pan, it feels like. So that's good. You know, guys, this is really something that you can do, again, like I said, with any pasta. And especially now, man, I went in to go get the Parmesan cheese, and I couldn't believe it. There was only 2 left. And I was like, what in the world am I going to do? Because I need to get that in the freeze dryer. So how's that going to work, right? And so we went ahead. I went ahead and I just grabbed what they had. I think I have some in the freezer, but I didn't want to use that. I really wanted to get a good idea of what this meal was going to cost now to do. And anyway, so I thought it was a good lesson anyway, because then I was able to substitute a few things. And when I was able to substitute and do that, actually made the meal a little bit cheaper, and it tastes really good. So I'm super excited about it. But, and I'm happy to be sharing it with you. All right, so it looks like we've got that melted in there. All that butter is nice and melted. It's so creamy. All right. Okay. All right, now it's where the magic's getting ready to start. Let's turn this into a nice thick sauce, yeah? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put in our cheese. Do a little bit at a time, so you can get it melted down. Make space, nothing's clumpy. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stir this up and get everything melted, and then I'll be back and I'll show you what that sauce looks like, and get get those noodles finished and get those ready to go. I'm going to go to a firm instead of an al dente. I need to do that for the freeze dryer, but you do it the way that you want to do it. And so recommended, what is it,
12 minutes for al dente. If you want them firm, then go in about 15 minutes. And if you like a more soggy noodle, loose noodle, then just take it for a couple minutes longer, right? Oh, look, yeah, it's already starting to get creamy. So I really need to focus on this. I'll be right back when this is finished and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so I kind of knew this was going to happen because the sauce does set up so fast. So I'm just now getting my noodles on. This is not a problem. So my noodles are going to take a little bit. This is going to be just fine. So here's what I recommend you do when you don't want it to separate. So what I did is I put it down on a very low simmer, and that low simmer is going to be able to hold this. Now I will need to continuously come through, stir and all of that, just kind of make sure everything stays together, right, just like that. But let me show you what this looks like so you know what it's when it's done. So the way you know that it's done, you come in there, there's a trace. See if you guys can pick it up. See that? You can see the bottom of the pan. There's a trace in there. So now this is the consistency that I want my sauce, right? Gosh, it smells so good. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to keep doing what I said and make sure I pay special attention to the sauce. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these noodles finished. And as soon as we do that, then we'll come back and I'm going to show you guys how to put it together. All right, so now we got our noodles finished and I got those right where I want them. And let's see, we're going to go ahead. I had some hot pads around here somewhere, so I don't even know where this will work. All right, so let's take this up, let that water drain out of there. Yeah, and I've turned the fire off on the sauce. You guys saw how that sauce looked. It smells amazing in here, man. Okay, now I'm going to take my noodles and go directly to the sauce. Just like that. Sticky little boogers. Get in there and then don't want to come out. Let's see. They get stuck in the little holes. Cracks me up. I don't even know how that happens. Alright, so get every last bit in there. Oh, gotta run away. Yeah. Alright. They'll float up here. There we go. Yeah, well, he can just stay in there. Alright, so then I'm just going to mix the sauce in. Flipping it. Look how creamy that is. Just amazing. Man, we have to invent smell-o-vision, I'm telling you. Somebody's got to do it. Look how nice and coated that is. Okay. Alright, then we're going to take it over. I'm going to set it over on the other side and we'll plate it and I'll show you guys what it looks like. And man, wish I could share it with you. Maybe we could see it at a festival. I'll have this in some freeze-dried packets. And you can try it like that. Alright, so here we go. We're going to switch on over and we'll get this plated and I'll show you how beautiful it looks.
Check this out. All right, not only do we have our chicken Alfredo that just came out of the freeze dryer, we'll get those packaged up. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the freeze dryer, right? And basically what I do is I use these. If anybody's bought freeze-dried fruit from me before, you know that they come in these 1-quart refillable bags, Mylar bags. These are 7 mil, and so heavy duty, lasts for a long time. Inside there, I put a 10 cc oxygen absorber in there and put them together, do a nice seal on there to keep those ironclad tight. they're shelf stable for 30 years. So there you go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Let's plate it and have some for dinner, right? Okay. So we're going to take a nice helping here, and I just kind of pull it around, get it right on there. Maybe a little bit more. Let's remember, we have 16 servings in here, so this is actually quite a bit. Get that on in there just like that, right? Then we come over and we have our chicken. So we're going to just put our chicken right on there. Get how nice golden brown that is. Just beautiful. Okay. Put as little or as much as you want on there. It's up to you. Then we're going to take our parsley. Put our parsley right on there. How pretty is that, right? All right, guys, I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. You're going to feed everybody for no more than $1.25. You can make this stretch. These are pretty decent sized portions. Kids aren't going to eat that much, so I'm sure you can make it stretch with them. And just fun, easy way to not just have a gourmet meal at home on the cheap, but to stretch a meal awfully far and to get stuff put away, prepped in your pantry, and you've got it for 30 years or whenever you just don't feel like cooking. All right, guys, till next time. Everybody, go live a life done free. Challenge yourself in the kitchen. Do something fun. Live life. Bye, guys. Love you.
Thanks, Milo.